Hello, Taurus. Welcome to your June soul session. I am Marlo. If you're new and if you're family, welcome back, my friend. So we're going to go ahead and jump into you guys' cards to see what's going on for you all in the month of June. So the first card out, we got the Ace of Swords. So there's a little bit of clarity or truth you guys are coming into the month of June with. This is followed by the Three of Pentacles. Oh, okay. Are we pursuing an idea? Have you been inspired, Taurus? Are you going to get a team together? Okay, let me stop. Next card, we have the Five of Swords in the reverse. So you guys are coming out of conflict with someone. It's more or less like peacetime. Now, this is interesting. With me seeing this Ace of Swords and going straight into this Three of Pentacles, literally the first thing that comes to my mind is it feels very, I don't want to necessarily say business related, but it feels more creative project oriented. And I mean, this could be a myriad of different things. This could be something like, and this is a very interesting thing I just heard, this could literally be a community service project. Like, if you want, and my hands are itching again, my palms, money. Okay, go ahead and take it as a sign. The same thing happened to Gemini. It's a Southern thing. Anywho, but like if you wanted to like feed the homeless or something like that, like if you wake up one day, you get this wise idea of like, oh man, I'd really love to do a community service project, like, you know, a clothing drive, something like that. Or if this is something as simple as like you wanting to, you know, start a YouTube channel or wanting to write a book. But the whole premise of this is it's you guys with this Three of Pentacles being open to working with other people. Now, seeing that next to this Five of Swords in the reverse, I feel kind of leading up into this, there was more or less, and not saying it like in a negative way or anything, I feel that prior to this, if you guys ever attempted to work on something, you kind of had it set in your mind to more or less do it alone. You know what I mean? It's almost like never quite considering involving other people or asking for help with it. But what it is that I'm feeling intuitively, Taurus, is whatever this is that you guys would be working on, whether, you know, it's a project, it's, you know, I can't even say hobby. It just, this energy I'm picking up is so interesting. It's not like a hobby, but it's not quite a business. I mean, it could be a business, but it feels like an initiative that Taurus is taking. And I feel that this is something, either you do something in the stratosphere of this already, or this is something you kind of dabbled with in the past that kind of got resurrected in the month of June. Well, I wouldn't even say June, child. This would be an idea that legit came in like in the latter part of May. So, but it's like, it doesn't feel like, I don't want to say it's a full-on business, even though it could be, but I'm picking up an energy signature that's between like hobby and like business. So that's like where I say project. So it feels like some sort of, and I have to say the word initiative. I mean, I assume that you guys know what the heck I'm talking about. So I hope that makes sense. The next card we have is the Ten of Wands. Okay, that makes sense. Oh my God. Then we have the Sun card. And then we have the Empress in the reverse. Okay. Don't fall back into bad behaviors, my friend Taurus, my fellow Taurians. What I was speaking about energy wise, when I was saying this is something that you guys have done past tense, right? So, and the reason why this, you know, this didn't work out, because I feel like you got this idea before. I think this is just a resurrection of the same idea, but you had the idea to do whatever this is that we're talking about in the past. But the reason why it didn't work out and you kind of burned out from it and kind of gave up on it is because you were trying to bear the burden alone. It's like you were trying to wear all of the hats. And that's where I say like another good example would be like, bless your heart if you're a YouTuber that could start out like that, first of all. But because usually like when people start YouTube channels, you're usually going to start with you where you wear all the hats. And then as time goes on, you're able to like kind of hire people to do like your editing and, you know, stuff like that, a producer, blah, blah, blah. But a YouTube channel would be a perfect thing. Like, say if you were doing not like tarot YouTube, but I mean, if you were trying to do like animation or something, right? Like voiceovers and like animation, and you were trying to do the animation, the editing, the voiceover, the script writing, you were production, like you were doing all of this stuff. But I feel with this being diagonal more or less from this Three of Pentacles, I feel past tense, because this is so interesting, Taurus. It's almost like it's like you guys getting a second chance, if that's making sense. This feels like a do-over, because and I hope I'm making sense, y'all. First of all, Mercury is retrograde and I'm a Gemini rising, so my communication is never on point during Mercury retrograde. But anywho, I hope I'm making sense. But this feels like an energy where it's almost like repeating the past, but not in a negative way. That's why I say this really feels like a second chance. Like this is something that's happened before, but the decision that you guys made was, I'm going to take care of it myself. Even though you knew people who could have helped you, it just wasn't the thought of you necessarily needing to bring people into it. And it's like getting overburdened and like stopping. But in June, it's like this idea comes again in May. But in June, you have the lesson that you learned past tense of how this worked out when you got the idea to pursue something and you tried to do it yourself and not kind of getting either wise counsel or, guidance or, whatever the case. But I feel with you guys working with other people, that's going to work out in your highest good and in your favor. Like this is going to be like lit, like with the Sun card being here, dude. It's legit success. It's money. It's letting you know that whatever this idea is, it's going to work out. You know what I mean? I don't know if it is something monetary. I think I might have said that already. Taurus is like money, but it's literally going to be fruitful for you. And it's going to give you a great deal of fulfillment and happiness. And I feel that's more or less what the lesson was in this. And now when we get to this Empress in the reverse, right? And this falling under this Five of Swords in the reverse, this is more or less a forewarning. And the first thing that I said before that I heard is don't fall into bad behaviors. Oh my gosh, child, this just became a whole story. Okay, now I got all the tea. Oh, this is fascinating. Okay, so Taurus, let me tell you the whole story. This makes so much sense. So we're not talking about a Taurus person who is just like, I'm going to do it on my own. I don't need nobody help. Once upon a time, this is like a complete do-over, Taurus. This is so interesting. So if I were to pull back into your like far, 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 far past, right? Once upon a time, there was a Taurus. And this Taurus person that resonates with this had issues with codependency, because that's what I'm seeing in the Empress in the reverse, right? Where there was a dependence on other people, right? So a situation similar to this. So this is literally what I'm picking up intuitively. That would be if we had cards like all the way over here. That's all of that. So this particular Taurus that resonates with this, there was issues with codependency in your past. And you found yourself in situations where even if it's not like a project, just anything that's in your life, you found yourself depending on people. So if there were things that you wanted to do or things that you were interested in or ideas that you have, you could share them with like your friends or your partner or, your family. Everybody's on board, right? And then you end up finding that when it's time to actually take action, no one's there. Like no one shows up, right? So the lesson that this Taurus that resonates with this learned was, I'm going to do everything myself because I can't rely on people, right? And that's what I'm seeing in this Five of Swords in the reverse. It's like you always being in a position where you're left holding the bag, right? That's where it is that this lesson was learned of needing to bear the burden alone. However, when I talk about this resurrecting, it's almost like the same thing this still falls into the thing we've been talking about for months, you guys. When I talk about this whole crossroads 7-year, cycle, 2016 up until 2022, all this other kind of stuff. This is very similar, but it's almost like this would be the ultimate crossroads for Taurus, because you're literally repeating situationally the same exact thing that happened to you guys in the past. But this would be almost like, child, look, this might be like, I'm saying second chance, but what it feels energetically like to me is like this is like a third chance in a sense. Because when I look at it linearly, it's like codependent Taurus, right? Relied on people, people disappointed. The lesson that was learned from Taurus, don't rely on people. Taurus goes along not relying on people, right? But that doesn't get Taurus what it is. Geez, y'all are about to transcend the whole timeline, child. Oh my goodness. Come on, Taurus. This is a really good reading. Oh my gosh. Woo, child. All right. Let me finish with my little timeline. So we go from codependency. We learn, okay, don't rely on people. So now the new cycle that starts is not relying on people. The lesson that's learned there is it's too much of a burden, right? So I can't keep doing this. So now when we come into this other cycle, like this third energy signature, because you guys have literally, like I talk about the whole Likert scale, like with the temperance card and everything, you guys learned codependency is not the wave. You learned that, over dependency, I don't know what you would call that, but being overly independent, there's nothing wrong with being, independent, but being overly independent to where, you're blocking help out from people who actually want to help you, right? You realize that's not the wave. And now the question is, where else is there to go? And that's, of course, coming back to center, right? And it's using the lessons that you learned from both sides, which is, no, you shouldn't overly depend on people, and that maybe the people you depended on in the past just weren't, reputable or worthy people. You know what I'm saying? Needing to look at people's character, right? It's recognizing now that there are people in your life that are willing to help you out with things, right? And no man is an island. No man or woman is an island, right? So you can't do it 100% by yourself. Yes, there are people that disappoint us sometimes, but it's more or less about like vetting people in so many words. So with you guys coming back to center, you're able to transcend this timeline because this second chance is more or less a way. It's like offering you an opportunity to enact all of the lessons that you learned. But the warning that comes in is to make sure that you don't fall back into, because that's what I talk about with the Likert scale. You realize that, over independence isn't the wave. The key is not to regress and go back to codependency. So I feel there's more or less like boundaries that need to be set to where if you allow people to come in to help you, whether this is with a project or we're just speaking generally like in your life, if you do, start allowing people, gosh, my throat is so dry, throat chakra problems. Anywho, but if you do start allowing people into your space, is to remember what you learned from the past, but not fall back into what it is that you've done before. So you don't want to end up becoming codependent, getting disappointed and left holding the bag, and then end up falling into, see, I knew I should have not let nobody help me, this and that, da, 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 da. So I feel like the big lesson with this opportunity is you guys like testing out this new, like this new energy, if you will, but there's a need to maintain boundaries because I feel allowing people into whatever this is we're talking about, if this is just your life, letting people get close to you, or it's this whole project thing that I'm seeing, if you guys allow people into your space, but you maintain boundaries to where you're not overly dependent on them. So kind of like how I use the example with YouTube, it's like if you have someone like you're doing the animation channel, right? And even though you know how to animate, you have a friend that does animation and you allow them to do the animation part of it. And you're going to, write the scripts and things of the sort, right? But that doesn't mean like, because if the person gets sick or, they have like some type of thing, you don't want to get to the point to where you're so dependent. So it's more or less needing to kind of split it up, if that makes sense. So it's like if they do like a couple of things and don't just handle all of it, but they do a couple of videos, you do a couple of videos, You won't kind of have the rug pulled from under you. Like I said, if this person gets sick or, has to go out of town or like whatever the case. And I feel that's what the issue was before. It's kind of like, and this dude, I'm getting so much stuff from this. This extended is going to be so fascinating because the vibe I'm picking up on the Taurus person, this would be somebody who's like a jack of all trades, right? Where it's a lot of different stuff that you know how to do. But again, and I don't mean to be redundant, there is people around you that know how to do a lot of the stuff that you know how to do that could release a lot of this burden from you. The thing is just to not become over dependent on it. You know what I'm saying? And I can say that as a business owner myself. It's like, I had an assistant at one point in time and my assistant left. But I think about if I was even overly dependent, because I mean, your assistant is supposed to be your assistant. That's what an assistant does, right? But if you become overly dependent to where, how things run in your business, you're just completely oblivious to, like, you don't know how to access your email, like you don't know how any of the back office stuff works. And if a person, moves on, finds another job or whatever the case, or, gets sick or ill, it's like you're kind of left there lost within your own stuff. So there has to be like a balance, if that makes sense, to where you're still involved, not taken over to where you can't let people do their job. You know what I'm saying? But still well versed in what it is that's happening in the event that, like a person gets sick or they get called into something else. I hope and pray that that's making sense. So that's pretty much what the whole forewarning is in reference to this, Taurus. It's you guys finding that middle road and balance, but you're being offered a second chance by allowing these people in. It's going to end up successful for you. And still, child, I have no idea what we're talking about. So Taurus, help out your friend Marlo. Can you guys please tell me in the comments what the heck this is about? Is this, are you guys trying to feed the homeless? Like, are you starting a podcast or something? Like, what's going on? Let me know in the comments. But anywho, that's been your June Soul Session, Taurus. I'm going over to my network, Vimeo, Patreon, YouTube members, all the places to do you guys extended. So if you're about that life, follow me on over there. But if not, I still love your freaking face and I will see you guys sooner than later, my friends.